Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Breatt and GourdTVRordio. It's coming here to give you guys a special news bulletin. Ken Hovind has had his channel struck down in the recent turn of events is because, it's no new news that a lot of people think he's a dick, but nevertheless, he's still alive and kicking. If he's not going to be successful in YouTube, then, well, he claims that well, actually, he has not just claimed, he's also proved it. He has also succeeded with his monologue and the narrative of his evolution false debates. And it's fair. There's Armand. And he was at Press I Am's channel, guesting there, having questions about evolution and how the Earth is young, and how he insisted that the globe was old. And well, I guess if you don't believe that the Earth is young, then you're not scientific. You're not. You're not scientific, and you're not biblical. And if you believe in evolution, then you're also of the devil. But then again, I like to think that he is making a battle that doesn't exist. Because evolution being, although a theory, but controversial to many, I don't know how far as that goes. Hey, it's not a salvific issue. And why would you put controversial stuff in the Bible? Or why would it be concerned with such? But anyway, further news, Saint Ronan, the ever enigmatic Saint Ronan, asked him a question one day, and he says that what inspired him to take the Genesis account literally. And it appears that even through the mind of Saint Ronan, he sees more of a nudist scriptura or a Gnostic. Nevertheless, he was being cordial, and he just simply said thank you for taking his questions. So this is also an open podcast. And so if you want to come into the stream or just hang around in the side chat with the comments, you're welcome to come in back then of the day. So, Saint Ronan was also in the video game streaming situation. You can go check it out in his supplement channel called Shadow Saint. And he also had more biblical content today concerning the idea of sin and how, in many ways, those verses actually address fragrance. And sin is a very seriously offensive thing to the Lord. So you could go check that out in his main channel, Saint Ronan. By the way, again, this is an open podcast. And if you want to comment, like us on the side chat in the comments. Oh, 9 live for... I don't know where StreamYard really is there. I mean, it starts to have its own countdown when I'm going live. But anyway, so again, welcome to the Breatt segment situation. GourdTVRordio, open podcast. You're allowed to comment to the stream. And if you want to talk or say you love me or you hate my gorts, you can comment. The link is in the description and the comments. Blank. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering what happened to my channel, apparently it's I'm in the YouTube strike situation. So I don't know where I'm gonna continue. Maybe I'll be just sticking around in Spotify. There's more free speech there than most of the fucking internet people here in YouTube. And as far as that, basically I'm bored here, guys, so I don't know what to do. But yeah, we can also treat this as some kind of after stream concerning that one. Good morning, Basement Dweller. Welcome to the stream. And good that you just woke up. And oh yeah, also in the Northern News Bulletin, we have Prize I Am and the Raging Atheist hashing some matters out. But I didn't really see going out and see the rest of the conversation over there. So, Basement, if you want to uh, fill me in the comments and the side chat, maybe you want to. Well, we could talk about that. And while we wait for more guests, good morning. What are you talking about? Well, it's currently like, I don't know where you live, Basement, but I think it's quite early in the morning for you here. It's just turning evening here. Currently 4:39 in the afternoon from where I'm at. So, checking on Discord if there's actually an action. That's pretty much it for the Dayton News Bulletin, except for, I guess, about 2 months ago that we had somebody by the name of XO who was going on to our beloved friend Jared, who caught him on what XO believes or what bullshit that came out of his mouth. I mean, God knows the rest of it, but he again went on with the same old kind of shtick that he does when his opposition doesn't cooperate with him and doesn't answer his questions uh, by way of script. And suddenly he flashed his on holster on the StreamYard or on the Prez I Am channel. So again, this is like a win in the bed tactic. If your opponent disagrees with you wholeheartedly and he's coming at you with righteous indignation, all you gotta do is flash your handgun. All you have to do is flash your handgun on the screen and you win every time. Too bad it didn't pan out because everybody thought of him as a sore loser. Well, rather a belligerent sore loser situation. But anyway, so again, welcome to the stream. If you want to come outside or just hang around in the comments. No, I was talking about the other time, and it wasn't the again. That was like the first time I did, and I made a meme about it. Kept complaining that he can't speak, although he's the same old fucking Mortarmouth that keeps over talking to everybody. So, yeah, Flash is gone again, but you were. Yeah, the Full Metal Jacket XRS. Yeah, that's what we're calling right now. Is a full metal jacket XR. By the way, Basement, if you could fill me in with the situation concerning the conversation between Prize I Am and the Raging Atheist and the Raging Atheist. And as far as I know, they were just talking about the whole Kent Hovind situation. So, if any of you have your opinions or you want to tell me that you love me or hate my guts, you can enter the side chat in the comments. Link is pinned if you want to come in. So, just got done with the rest of those things. I was out hitting on a cigarette for a little bit, and I decided I'm bored, so I wanted to do a little stream. Anyway, more tournament. Ken is innocent according to prayers, but who knows? Well, Ken has done a many things, and I don't like him one bit. But as far as free speech goes, I don't think you can't just go deep platforming anyone. I mean, I guess if you wanna define yourself, then you must be given the right to speak. But by the way, as of today, it is more kind of like connotating to damage control. Like he still gets to have a platform. Like I know that people can. I know that people are not supposed. I know these heinous people are not supposed to have a platform, or maybe when all doubts are cast down. But still, you still have to give them a chance. And I mean, we're all built with mouths so we can speak, and we're better than the fastest idiots situation. Prayers can flip flop on this, then blame rage for putting things on his head. Wait, do you honestly think that's actually what happened in the one-on-one with the raging atheist and praise I am situation? Are you telling me that, Bassman? Well, why don't we listen in? Let's take a look at the life of the one-legged Indian, Nakasuchi. Praise called Breatt being a flip-flopper very that big fat flip-flopper said to my best man. Well, he could just go shut the fuck up if you know what's good for him. Call me a flip-flopper. He has flip-flopped more times than I changed my fucking underwear. So, better shut the fuck up if you know what's good for him. Breatt can't sit in the situation. Better pray that I don't go all the way to Oklahoma and kick his ass situation. But, I'm fat lazy and I just want to pretend to be a Christian while I'm just basically an atheist who's been regarded as an idiot in his own community. Then slowly come up with the mouthiest situation and slowly head back my well there. How's that? But, yeah. Mm, uh, I can't type most of the letters because I have no. Let's see. Big character for a bit because I'm looking for it. I wonder what happens. Dork and atheism versus adventure. Yeah, Dark Dawkins, so it's a duck head situation. We're gonna, if no one's gonna come in, we're just gonna pull up some videos to watch. We're gonna be not necessarily stream sniping, but we're gonna be. Sure sounds like praise flopped towards it. Well, pretty much. I mean, the stream called whatchamacallit, uh, talking about young Earth creationism. That's okay. I don't really have to give credence to that since I know it's just been bred by some crazy, insane, duplicitous, pious butch named Alan White who got hit on the rock so hard and now gaining obsessive standards for being for dressing and very big vegetarian laws and diets that actually made a law. More of a Pharisee than I ever encountered in the Bible situation. And the heart has to be young. If you don't believe that earth is young, you can just go straight to the pit of hellfire. It's not a big of a deal. And, Brick, and, guys, me and Brick can same situation, that I'm a Maltheist. So I just want to tell you guys how much I know that God's such an evil bastard. Yeah, he's okay with me saying that. I mean, I'm a Maltheist, and even TTRS says that he's evil because, if he gets one thing wrong in his scripture, he's just going to compensate for his idiocy and blame the God of the Bible. Such a big of a deal. But he's okay with that because he's got it right better than the rest of Christianity. So let's go take a look at that one over there. I think I'll open one of our streams and just click on the names. And Kent Horvath situation. So, here's Leonard for a round of chat. Let's listen in, everyone. We're finally doing the stream lesson. Basement Dweller, I think you're going to like this segment situation with Breatt because now we have a special. Stream sniping with Breatt and GourdTVRordio.
Balteth, not itself. It's not pure, puffed up, does not behave itself unseemly, seeketh nor her own, is not easily provoked.
I was talking about biblical
no
reading.
evil.
Let's go. It's Gord.
Rejoice not in iniquity, but rejoice in the truth. Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is
Let's
come,
just wait for it.
then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spake as a child.
Full
I
script.
as a child. I thought as a child.
I'm
But
sorry.
when I put away childish. For now we see through a glass, darkly. But then face to face, now I know in part. But then shall I know, even as also I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, charity. These three, but the greatest of these is charity.
Amen, honey.
Reading the Bible for yea, not for
perfect.
them. Whatever that means.
Hello, Stephanie.
Well, this is actually a good turn of events. There's just reading scripture.
Yes.
Not doing much there.
It was nice having you over in the other.
I'm trying to figure out to change my name. Don't know how.
It was very nice.
Trying to click the edit name segment situation, but it won't bring me into the part where I can change my name.
Here. I liked how you mentioned 1 Peter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Too bad it didn't pan out. Can't change my name. Wanted to call myself Breatt and GourdTVRordio.
You want First Peter 1?
Yeah, just all of 1 Peter.
I've read about 1 Peter 1. Why don't you go read us something, Sparrow?
Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity,
gosh darn it.
I am become as sounding brass or tinkling. Did I just?
Yeah.
I wonder who else is watching.
No, but that was really good because that's what the love chapter.
Oh, okay. I didn't go to the Corinthians?
No, 1 Peter.
Okay, so, okay.
The Corinthians.
Am I reading the right ones?
It should be that Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ.
Right. I got 1 Peter 1:1.
Would be interesting to read. Would be interesting to talk about the Corinthians.
Read
there
the
very
last
much.
couple of verses in chapter 12. Let's see. 1 Corinthians.
Those two
12.
are usually above any of it.
Oh, so very good.
I think that's what you referred to as a whitewashed wall, Basement Dweller. That's in Acts 23, verse 3.
I don't know how I did that.
So good, like 1 Corinthians.
I hope I'm not going to be labeled as disparaging. I didn't say anything like that.
31.
Okay.
Stream snapping. I wonder who else is streaming today. No. I can't.
That's what Stephanie said. She was shocked to see us there.
I bet you were.
I wonder how these people are awake. I mean, do you guys have different time zones? Because in Houston right now, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Have the same care.
I wonder what time is it there for them. Maybe they slept
and
early.
Whether one member suffers, all the members suffer with it.
They're talking about the church.
One member be honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now ye are the body of Christ, all members in particular.
Oh, well.
And God has set some in the church, first apostles, secondarily prophets, thirdly, teachers.
I got a lot
After
of
that,
quality of
miracles,
this
then
video
gifts
sharing
of
cause
healing,
there's
helps,
people using
governments,
the internet
diversities of
situation.
tongues.
It's just
Are
330,
all
360
apostles? Are all
megapixels. There you go.
prophets? Are all teachers? Are all workers of miracles? Have all the gifts of healing? Do all speak with tongues? Do all interpret?
Oh, it's pleasant. They're just reading the
But
Bible. Let's just go
covet
take a look who else we could take a look for. Random chat for an hour or so. Could be just 2 hours. I mean, it's pretty late in your end. Let's go take a look at some. I really can't, like, trying to look for that. Oh, yeah, I was supposed to try and look for that. Let's see. I'm gonna be quarantine struck for sure. But no, they have the ability to read a verse and do the opposite. You gotta take it up with them in the basement. Just trying to get to. Oh, those betas busting. Such a lashing. There's the man we're looking for. Baddest man on the planet, Knuckles. Let's see what he has to say about the Kent Holborn. Okay. Oh, they had an open room after party. All right. Wait a minute. About to look that? I'm not sure. Take a look. There we go. Roger Press. 1-on-1. You could tell me a lot of. Oh, by the way, I had a delivery in Tremens yesterday. If you can never get a hold of that beer, buy it. Yeah, I'll go buy it. I'll go get a beer for you guys, dude. Yeah, I think you're referring to the Polliner beer. Yeah, I really want that one. I can't believe I'm stream sniping. Okay, welcome to the Saint unit.
Response videos.
Okay, let's see what the long line down the has to say concerning the current Holborn situation. And, throw ourselves, so kind of compensate for.
What is up, you? I was like, why is my microphone muted? But I was looking at the wrong dial there. What is up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints? Welcome back. Already had a stream earlier. Second stream of the day. This is the good one, though. This is the one-on-one with Praise. Praise is here. What's up, Praise? Welcome to the channel. Everybody knows who you are, but just in case, let everybody know where they can find you.
What's up, Rage? Thanks for having me. Yeah, I have my own channel on YouTube here. It's Praise I Am. I have two gals with me. We do our streams nightly. We try to do nightly at least, but not always. It's frequent though, and we talk about all types of different subjects that regard Christianity. We do defenses of Christianity. We do response videos. And we have open.
As evident, Praise, you do have response
videos. Voice
videos.
their opinions like atheists. So a lot of people seem to like that. You've been there a few times, Rage. We've known each other for a couple of years now, man. It's you're a cool dude. I
appreciate it.
Enjoyed some of that. Our past interactions there.
Oh yeah, and I've always enjoyed going on your channel, even when Gavin was there. I talk smack, but it's a lot better now that Gavin isn't there. And I think Olive and Sparrow do a hell of a job for you. And yeah, I do enjoy hopping in your rooms. They're a bit late for me now, so usually I catch them at the tail end when I'm waking
Yeah.
up for the day. So, but I do appreciate you coming and doing this. Um, I know I like to do my response videos and talk shit, and you like to do
Pink
your
dog
thing and you talk
response.
shit. That's all part of the YouTube
Which
thing. But I know
particular timestamp
Exactly.
are you
I
talking about,
personally like
Baseman?
to come together
I
and do these
mean,
one on
I
ones.
mean,
Like
I know this
let's
puts you
talk
to
our
sleep,
shit,
so I
Right.
think
but let's
maybe if you
also
could
come
put
together and have a
us
conversation.
where
So
True that.
we're
Yeah.
supposed to be.
I have questions, and I do appreciate you being here. And if you want to end up mirroring this, I know I'd offered to dual stream, but if
Yeah.
you want to end up mirroring this, feel free to do so. You know that you're always welcome to do that. So I'll just get right into my questions now. Like I kind of warned Praise before this started that some of these questions you might find offensive. It's not really my intention. It's just I'm trying to understand.
Right.
So I'll start with the first one. Last night you said that you wanted to provide a safe haven for Kent Hovind. Is that
Hmm.
what you really want to do on your channel? Is provide a bubble for your faith?
Yes, to give him a platform where he can freely express his views. That's what I mean in terms of free speech. That to me, I don't know who's trying to censor him, but someone is. I mean, because he's been reported and alerted to. So what I mean, like a haven, not a safe haven for him to if he
You already
has
brought
like
up
these
the
weird
pedophile
viewpoints
crap,
on
but
homosexuality,
Smokey
front him
here.
on that, and
I
I
mean,
will
speaking
correct
of
him on that.
pedophilia, or
But as
the
far as
allowing of
like
pedophiles,
evolution and having a free is viewpoints,
I'm willing to bet that they're going to mention Smokey Sane here. I mean, considering that there have been charges against Kent. I mean, there was already his issues with the number of wives. But speaking of pedophilia, I'm not saying that I'm not making the charge that Kent himself is a pedophile, but I think in Dinoland he is like maybe allowed some activity back there. I don't know what happened, but the term pedophilia, or let's say it's going to be brought up. So I'm saying is that since that might be brought up, I think they're going to bring up Smokey Sane again. I'm actually expecting that. So
express, and yeah, anytime. So that's what I meant by that.
Well, yeah, and to be
and
fair
one
to
more thing, I mean, concerning free speech, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there. I mean, we know that. I mean, we already know that Kent's a dick. Like it's not new, but I guess everyone should have their right to speak. I mean, even a prisoner or a defendant or a convicted criminal gets to speak in court. So I guess that's fair.
when it comes to uh, the homosexual topic, I don't know where he stands now. I assume he's never came out and said that those beliefs that he no longer believes that God's law should be American law. But he did used to harbor those beliefs. So he
Yeah.
definitely has a lot of very similar NIFB beliefs in those regards. Um, Now, I was kind of scrolling through the comments of last night's stream, and Cindy Lincoln in the comments asked you for a private, unbiased, and fair conversation between the two of you. You refused her, saying, "quote For my own protection, I can never talk privately with you. It would have to be publicly on a panel with Olive and Sparrow. That is non-negotiable." Why can't you talk privately with Cindy Lincoln to get her side of the story directly? Is there some
I,
like,
I actually
are
I
you
actually missed
afraid for
that.
like
Can
privacy?
we
Because you
just
link
like
with other
track it back a bit? Talk about private
And having a
private
free
conversation.
express, and yes, he's more than. I mean, he's more than free to come on my show anytime. So that's what I meant by that.
Well, yeah, and to be fair to Hovind when it comes to the homosexual topic, I don't know where he stands now. I assume he's never came out and said that he's changed those beliefs, that he no longer believes um, that God's law should be American law. But he did used to harbor those beliefs. He
Yeah.
definitely has a lot of very similar NIFB beliefs in those regards. Um, Now, I was kind of scrolling through the
Wait, your mom is also his aunt. That's actually. I mean, there's a user that says that there. Uh, is that what it really is? Is that her aunt? His aunt, maybe?
through the comments of last night's stream,
I
and Cindy
guess.
Lincoln in the comments asked you for a private, unbiased and fair conversation between the two of you. You refused her, saying, "quote For my own protection, I can never talk privately with you. It would have to be publicly on a panel with Olive and Sparrow. That is non-negotiable." Why can't you talk privately with Cindy Lincoln to get her side of the story directly? Is there some like,
Yeah,
are
praise.
you
Why
afraid
would you
for like
not
privacy
talk with her
concerns or
in
something?
private?
Well, for sexual harassment, number one, like if she records me and says that I was harassing her, because here's the thing, Rage, I don't put too much stock into what she says because I think a lot of this where I'm backing up Ken comes from their duplicitous and sketchy background. And this was all posted on Breatt Keen's channel before of how like how
Breatt,
promiscuous.
That's a
Sorry, go ahead.
double-edged sword.
Breatt
We're
Keaton
both
admits that
handling
there for a
promiscuous
period of time
individuals
he
here.
was being bombarded with a lot of different information. He was being
But
Yeah.
that's a
Ken
lot of
Hovind was bringing a lot
information.
of people on to kind of counter what they were saying.
If anything, we are handling a bunch of degenerates or very sketchy people. I mean, Ken included, and not that it's coming from me, from my conviction. It's more like the number of people that it's likely that Kent is just beyond the dick, and I don't know what his issue is with it with his other wives. I mean, it could be that they're playing victim. I don't know. I guess the data has to go on some further comparison before we can come up to a conclusion. But then again, I'm not the freaking police. But as far as we know, I think even Michael Jones from Inspiring Philosophy even had her on, and they were talking about Kent Hovind. And much respect to IP. I like his work. I think there's just some. I think there's just something like there's something more going beyond these coming out videos on like whether Ken is this or his previous wives are these, and the whole pedophile scenario. And it's the big old atheist versus fundamental Christians, or Christians again. I mean, there's got to be more data to compare, and maybe, even for me, maybe I would come up with my own conclusions to the matter. But anyway, that remains to be seen. So let's continue.
But like
Oh, I broke
sketchy
character there. Sorry.
backgrounds, like their background is they were there. That's their background.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I mean like the way they approach things, because I was watching Breatt, and it seems to be they were dishonest on things. It seems to be they were inconsistent. There were so many inconsistencies, and I was watching the whole thing play out, and then Breatt would come back another time, then another time he kept switching me. I mean, talk about flip-flopping. He just flip-flops like every day almost. But I did see a lot of inconsistencies on their end, and I find them untrustable, and I don't.
Now, as to mediate to praise, well, since you did mention a sketchy background with these women, I mean, like, what sort of motivates you to think that she would go after you for sexual harassment? Is it when you just defend Kent, or if you don't agree with her, she'll end up suing you for sexual harassment? I mean, even to the point where it's like blatant. Like, I mean, well, for me, like, I don't have to worry about this woman because basically she doesn't even know who I am, and even if she knew my real name, then I would just simply go as far as to say, or you would go as far as to say, that you have no relationships whatsoever, other than in some way now praise your. I wouldn't say you're directly involved with the Ken Hovind situation, but you are. How do I put this? I'll just say you had him in your show, so I'm just stating that you're giving her the impression that um, you're kind of a new adversary for the girl. So I guess if she's willing to do this, and use your private conversations as a means to get herself to sue you for sexual harassment, then I could see why you wouldn't want to converse with her. All I'm saying is this: you just got to be careful, dude. That's all I'm putting out there.
Trust her because I just don't know her. I don't know her personally, and I have no reason to put my trust in her and privately. But I will talk to her publicly, though. I did make that proclamation.
Well, and that's totally your prerogative. I would just say, like, for me, I'm definitely going to trust, especially when so many people that have left Dow are coming out and kind of saying these same things. To me, that's definitely an indication that there's smoke. There's something here. Like, if there's smoke, there's usually fire, right?
Right.
All right. So last night you failed to confront Kent Hovind about the pedophile that has been allowed into Dow. Um, you did allow Kent to tell a bunch of lies about the situation, though. Are you purposely trying to lend support to a twice convicted sexual deviant? And do you harbor sympathies for people who are attracted to adolescent and preteen children?
Well, you know, when I heard about the leveraging, or let's say, according to Rage here, I said leverage because he's now mentioning lies, quote unquote, made by Kent Hovind with the pedophile allegations. But I guess if I were to mediate to praise, I guess that would just be the promotion. So, in Knox side, I see them as leveraging the concept of free speech, whereas praise, or let's say in their side, they are now they're actually they're actually like wanting to give Kent Hovind a chance to speak his mind out. As far as I know, I mean, like, well, here's just another question that I usually ask myself when it comes to stuff like this. Like, what are these kinds of topics doing in the internet? I mean, if anything, it's like this is like very this is evidence that here's the kind of accounts or evidences or charges that would get you in trouble or get you involved, especially when you're like putting it in the internet. It would give one or the other party a higher advantage because now, I mean, it's basically my side versus yours here. So, in light of knock, the way I view free speech, that the way that I'm seeing them use free speech, I think it's more of leverage. But in light of team praise, it's more like they're using it as well. Yeah, maybe I know that Ken is a dick, but at least give him a chance. I mean, I mean, in anything, I'm sparkling right now. I mean, in anything, people get to talk. I mean, even convicted criminals get to talk in court. So let's see how this pans out.
So to answer the first question, I don't know the whole details behind the Mark Stoney situation, or the Mark, or what's his name?
Chris
Mark
Jones.
is that his name?
Mark,
Chris Jones.
Yeah, Mark Stoney is the guy that is one of the people that have come out against, have revealed some of the behind the scenes that was going on in Dow.
I hear conflicting
Yeah,
stories
you're right, Base, but
on
it's
both
actually
sides. I don't know
disingenuous.
how I can verify who's lying and who's not. I'm in that process, and so I don't. I mean, right now because of my leanings, I'm sure you would lean probably to the atheist side. I'd probably lean more to, Ken's side because I'm a Christian on that.
I don't think that there's team sports involved here. So I think most of when it comes to this issue, when it comes to the
It's almost like there
pedophile issue,
is.
most of the dissent is coming from
I
Christians.
mean, it
It's
might
not
not
really
be
coming
true,
from. I mean, some atheists are talking about it. I'm one of them. But the people that are upset with Kent
but
Hovind
if
about
that's
this
proven,
are
then
mainly
I guess in
Christians.
your side, not it's a
So
scam
here's what
randomly.
I know, and this is
Otherwise, it would
why
be just
that
blatant team sports
as
and
far as the
team
background
praise if it
information
was
I
proven
have, the little
otherwise.
bit I have is that Kent was being kind and gracious to this Chris fellow because it looks like he was not hired other places because of his background. I mean,
Okay,
he
that's
was
noble.
he was a pedophile that was charged with with doing stuff with kids and stuff, very terrible things. But what I understand from Kent is that he changed his life, turned to the Lord, came, and so Kent was his pastor. And so what he was doing is, under his supervision, of course, through the job, like he would, watch him and give him a chance, at his dinosaur park. What I, so I guess the details behind it was outside the park. So whatever happened, the allegations of this other stuff outside of the dinosaur park, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but it did happen outside. But I guess my question to the people that are so critical of Kent, why is he responsible for stuff outside the park?
Right. So for one, he's only responsible for allowing the pedophile inside the park. For two, he claims it happened outside of the park. Now, right now, at this very moment, Breatt Keane has Linda Shark on. Linda Shark was somebody that was in Dinosaur Adventureland. She was the person that tried to put Chris Jones and the boy in the man cave, where there would be 12 other men sleeping there, plenty of people around, nothing would have happened. She's the one that she's out claiming it right now on Breatt Keane's channel, that Kent Hovind himself personally said no, that Chris Jones and the boy will be sleeping on campus. I believe it's on campus, but even if it's not on campus, it's on a property owned by them. It's the property that Cindy Lincoln owned. The house was empty, and Kent Hovind overrode them and said, no, Chris Jones and the boy will stay in this empty house by themselves.
Okay.
Have you heard the conversation about the recorded conversation
Didn't they talk about this way before? And then everyone was like sad and gloomy about this. It was a later story.
Yes, and that's where I got the information that it was off campus. I heard him talk to that lady on was it on Steve McCrae's channel on
Right,
so I listened to that.
All right, so I don't have to play that. I was going to play that for you in case you hadn't heard it. And yeah, he claims that it was off campus, but the accusation is not that it was off campus, is that even if it was off campus, it was on this property owned by them, right? Like it was, you know, it wasn't like, you know, well, you know, they went to a hotel, right?
A hotel.
No, it was a property that they own. And even then, why are you going to not at least say something when this twice convicted pedophile is taking a little boy to a hotel alone?
In light of what Knox said and what you're putting out here, Basement, I don't think this pedophile is a repentant pedophile. But then again, the urge of pedophilia is actually really strong. As Smokey would have it, or Will Kincaid would have it, pedophilia is like opening a bag of Lay's, okay? Once you pop, you can't stop. But I guess in the internet today, I guess pedophile, that term has been overused to the point where even they don't know what it means. I mean, you can't just basically infer the liking of prepubescent boys. I think pedophile goes beyond that. I even had that kind of exhortation on the Smokey Saint archive video that I made concerning Knock, when it included him having his fellow atheists, and Gur was in it, in that highlight where he denied Rage the privilege and honor to show a bunch of faces that he and some other collective ilk of his tried to connect. So pedophilia just goes beyond having this sexual attraction to prepubescent kids. And I hate to be a Matt Powell, but yeah, I guess most of them were convicted as homosexuals and they liked their boys young. But that's besides the point. Pedophilia, again, is like, you know, opening a bag of Lay's, and it doesn't go away that quickly. But yes, I mean, if they do find this pedophile, and if indeed he is a pedophile, well, actually, you know, Knock has already said that he's. I mean, anything could happen in a hotel room, right? But the idea of, you know, the little boy and that repentant pedophile, quote unquote, that them staying in a hotel, yeah, it's pretty fishy. So there's more probability that there was any sort of action like that involved, and particularly, I guess it's going on now. I mean, if the atheist caught it, then I don't know how Team Kent Hovind or Team Praise is going to reconcile that to show that it's not really an act of pedophilia. But let's see what else unfolds here.
If Kent actually knew all this stuff and he allowed this, and knowing that this was going to happen, knowing the past of Chris, and I will never associate him ever again. I had no idea. Actually. Like, this is new information to me.
Yeah. I figured that I probably had, you know, I get obsessive. If I want information,
That's
I go for it. And I've been covering Kent Hovind for a
Yeah,
while.
you get
Like,
obsessive
I have
just
my
like
own
connecting
little
three people that
personal,
actually
distant relationship with Kent
don't
Hovind,
look like
right? Like,
Smokey,
Kent Hovind's
but you
challenged
insist that they
me.
all
We
look
got the
like
Matt
him.
Powell thing, the phone conversation with Matt Powell and Kent Hovind, inviting me to Thanksgiving down
No,
there.
I'm the one bringing up
Uh,
Smokey scene.
All
Whoops.
right, so I'm going to change gears, but we'll definitely be coming back to Chris Jones in a minute. So did Kent Hovind lie about not having knowledge of why YouTube took him down last night?
That's a good point, Mason.
As far as to my knowledge, he's not lying. See, I don't know Ken. I wish I knew Ken more, personally. So my only dealings with him is with our very sparse. They're very sparse over time. Like I only had like maybe 5 or 10 background instances where I would like do like the handling the show with introductions and stuff. But I never really talked to him up front. I don't know him. I don't know him too personally, so I can't really answer that.
All right, so right now I want to play the part where he was talking about this, where you asked him about this from your show last night.
Yeah.
It's just about 2 minutes, and we'll.
Does he actually deny
we'll hear what
this
he said,
or
and
like
then,
dismiss
I've got
it from this point?
Yes, I understand that. And so here we'll go to the next question. Has YouTube informed you of yet of why your channel has been taken down?
No. We have asked them, we have appealed it, like, what was it about? We don't know. We still don't know to this moment.
Unbelievable. I think that is telling that you don't even know why they took it down.
No.
I think, as you guys know right now, YouTube really has a knack of automated robotic responses. It's not coming from a team of humans that are appealing your concern. Now, that would also be a pain. I mean, as one who used to work in a call center, yeah, at that time, I wish it was an automated robotic system that was doing it, because I couldn't take the the very colorful words of foreigners all around telling me how I'm a useless Filipino and a call center. And in some ways, they're right, which is why I ended up quitting that job. I could understand. I guess right now there's like millions of channels right now trying to one up over one another and trying to get their diamond play button. But as far as that's concerned, I mean, Ken should know right now, like in the YouTube culture, they do have a knack of automated robotic responses. So it wouldn't be a surprise. But he believes Canada's river word. He denied it, but also confirmed it. Let's take a look.
I think that's a very specific a platform that has millions and millions of followers and subscribers. So I don't know. I just think that shows on their end how shady they can be. We'll go to the next question.
Well,
So
it goes back to their agenda. What are they trying to accomplish? It looks like many of these platforms are in their goal is a one world government, a new world order. They're pushing hard for Satan's agenda, which is to eliminate humans.
Now, as far as Kent Hovind's reputation is concerned, it's kind of like being a YouTube advertisement, which is one of the things that give monetization to your videos. That is also the reason why we're allowed to watch videos on the internet for free, because it's being monetized by these ads. And if there's a certain thing that a particular company who puts ads in your videos that turns them off, then that would give me the impression that they would not want anything to do with your channel. So I guess it's the same here for Kent Hovind. YouTube doesn't want anything to do with the likes of Kent Hovind. But then again, it's also hypocritical in YouTube's part. I mean, this is just my inference, but then again, it's hypocritical in YouTube's part, because you literally have, as Grade A Under A would put it, you have shock value seeking autists pulling up fake pranks. And what I mean by fake pranks, I mean disturbing the peace, being a dick to people, and fake bomb threats. So but I'm inferring that because I guess that is the situation that Ken's in. That's perhaps why they wouldn't respond to him. And I guess if that were to be a thing, an automated response would be warranted. An automated robotic response would be warranted. So,
and anybody who wants to speak out against that is banned and shut up. So what's their goal in any sport? The person on defense has to keep in mind, what's that guy's goal? If I'm in basketball, I got to realize he wants to get to that basket. He may fake right, fake left, up, down, but his goal doesn't change, okay? The devil's goal has not changed. Ever since God told him in the Garden of Eden, someday some seed of the woman bruise your head.
YouTube really loves that revenue.
All right, let me get rid of that. So, do you subscribe
That sucks,
to the theory that YouTube is part of the New World Order, and that this very same New World Order set up Chris
Always
Jones on
has
several
been ever
different
since
occasions.
the libs
He
were
was lewd
taking
with
over.
adolescent boys, two of which he was convicted for.
As far as YouTube being part of the New World Order, I don't go that far. That type of conspiracy, no. But as far as Chris Jones, are you saying that YouTube conspired in this or something? Like,
well, no.
Can you go more? What do you mean by that?
One of his defenses of Chris Jones is that Chris Jones isn't innocent. He's been set up by the New World Order.
Oh,
because
okay.
of his political beliefs.
No, I would not align with that. So I think that's just going a little too far.
These are one of the things
I guess
that,
political views would have nothing to do with it.
A pedophile,
but then again,
he makes statements like those.
A lot of people with New World Order agendas.
But it might not necessarily be. I think Kent is. He could be a little bit. What's the word I'm thinking of? Like he'd be like perturbed, or or someone is. There's like a disorder out there, like I forget the word I'm thinking of, but he might be. He has been attacked a lot from outsiders, so I don't think that would be convincing to tell me that he's enabling a pedophile. But I think it's that word I was trying to think of. It's paranoid, yeah. So I think he's paranoid over a lot of things that's happened to him. And I think that's what's leading to his paranoia. But I would never think you'd be enabling pedophiles. And if I'm proven wrong, then I will never associate with them ever again. I will repudiate.
That's an honest thing, Praise.
Absolutely.
Well, you don't. So you don't have to enable consciously. Like he can truly believe that his friend is.
I'm going to switch to my phone first. I'm going to change my internet router.
By enabling,
leave back, guys. 2 seconds.
The behavior, when you make a, broad conspiracies to justify the behavior, then that's enabling, whether you're conscious of the enabling or not.
Yeah, I mean, if he's turning his head and knowing that this is happening, then yes, that's enabling I'm talking about. But if he doesn't really know what the background information was going on with Chris, if Chris is somehow taking advantage of him and Ken's goodness and niceness to him, then that's a whole nother story. So there is a distinction there, though.
You did say that you have listened to that interview at this point. Like I probably, you probably hadn't listened to it up until the point you talked to Kent last night, but you said that you did listen to the interview with Kelly Wiles, I think her name is, the interviewer from the Daily Beast. And in that interview, like Kent lays it out, like he's known the man for 20 years. He doesn't think he's guilty of these charges. He thinks he's been set up of these charges. Until Chris Jones himself admits to Kent Hovind that he's guilty of these charges, he will never.
Hold on, guys. I'm just switching to my internet to an even faster one. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, technical difficulties. We're just gonna put it back a bit. I need another coffee. Be right back. Okay, sure, you do that while I try to figure this out. No internet. What are you talking about? Excuse me, guys. Technical difficulties. Hold on. Just hold on for a bit. Okay, I'm back at the StreamYard. We're about to share it again. Yeah, you go get your coffee, dude. I'm sorry. Okay, I guess everything else is working. I guess my mic. Yeah, there's my mic. There is my mic. Okay, there we go. This is what I sound like. This is what I sound like. Yeah, you go get your coffee, please. I'm just gonna rewind it a bit. GourdTVRordio. I hope you guys are also not getting echoes, because I like the sound of my own voice. All right. I wonder how Will does this. Like, he maintains the stream. Oh, well, you can't maintain the sharing. Yeah, because it's, okay. Okay, here it comes, guys. I gotta stop echoing here. No, don't end the broadcast.
Which one do I remove? Yep. Okay. That's better. All right.
It's paranoid, yeah. So I think he's paranoid over a lot of things that's happened to him. And I think that's what's leading to his paranoia, but I would never think you'd be enabling pedophiles. And if I'm proven wrong, then I will never associate with him ever again. I will repudiate him for absolutely.
Well, you don't. So you don't have to enable consciously. Like, he can truly believe that his friend is innocent, but his friend has been convicted twice. So by enabling, like, when you justify the behavior, when you make a, broad conspiracies to justify the behavior, then that's enabling, whether you're conscious of the enabling or not.
Yeah, I mean, if he's turning his head and knowing that this is happening, then yes, that's enabling I'm talking about. But if he doesn't really know what the background information was going on with Chris, if Chris is somehow taking advantage of him and Ken's goodness and niceness to him, then that's a whole other story. So there is a distinction there, though.
You did say that you have listened to that interview at this point. Like, I probably, you probably hadn't listened to it up until the point you talked to Kent last night, but you said that you did listen to the interview with Kelly Wiles, I think her name is, the interviewer from the Daily Beast. And in that interview, like, Kent lays it out. Like, he's known the man for 20 years. He doesn't think he's guilty of these charges. He thinks he's been set up of these charges. Until Chris Jones himself admits to Kent Hovind that he's guilty of these charges, he will never believe he's guilty of these charges. He's been aware. Like, there's no manipulation there. He's known this man for 20 years. He's known him. He knew him when he got these charges, right? So he was probably aware at the time of the charges. There's no manipulation here. He chooses to believe his friend over the conviction. So, like, if you get a conviction, it doesn't necessarily, like, innocent people get convicted, but if you get a conviction, usually there was evidence there to convict you, right?
Right. No, right. Yeah. So, I mean, it was my impression Ken knew of his past convictions and he was giving a chance to, because he couldn't get jobs. I mean, that's the reason why I thought he was getting employment at Ken's place, is because no one would hire him because of his past deeds. So you're saying that he's even denying the past things that happened?
Well, no, I think that's what you're saying. Like this man is somehow manipulating Kent Hovind.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that, but it's after. I'm talking about. So, basically, he did his past
Christian
deeds,
Carpenter.
and those
Welcome
were
to the
in the
stream.
records. And I thought
If you
Ken
want to come
knew
in,
that.
our link is pinned.
But Ken is saying, well, he came to Christ and he's changing a new leaf, and I'm his pastor, and I'm gonna give him a second chance under supervision, under getting paid within that dinosaur parkland, whatever the thing that is. And I thought that was all taken care of, and there was nothing happening nefarious inside the park. What happened was outside of Ken's supervision, outside the park, and that's what I thought happen. Might be wrong though.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I mean, you understand, like, if Kent Hovind is running a PR campaign right now, he's doing damage control.
I
I mean,
I
that,
really
that Daily
don't.
Beast,
Yeah.
that Daily Beast article dropped. From what I've heard, I haven't heard it from Matt Powell directly. I keep waiting for a call from Matt because I'm surprised he hasn't called me about it yet. But from what I'm hearing, as soon as that Daily Beast article dropped, Matt Powell could no longer stay on Dinosaur Adventureland. He had to get out, and he got out immediately.
That's new news to me.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Matt Powell's back in Michigan right now.
Okay. Well, I mean, is that because of his? I thought he said. I mean, was that because he was going back to his church or something, or was it because of this ordeal? Do you know the reason why he did that?
So I had I had a third face-to-face with Matt Powell 8 months ago, 10 months ago. It was you know, we weren't recording. It was off air. We met in this little coffee shop, a town over from where I stay because he was close to where I live here. And Matt Powell was haggard, and you could tell he was tired. And he was very unhappy with Kent Hovind back then. And back then I brought up Chris Jones, and Matt Powell said, we are handling that in-house. So
Right.
For 8 months later, for that Daily Beast article to drop and Matt Powell leaves, no, I think there's something there.
Okay.
Now,
No, that is
to be fair,
yeah.
in that conversation, Matt Powell, he was highly critical of Kent Hovind. Like, you could tell the idol worship had worn off now that he had been there for
Really?
an amount.
I
of
wonder
period
what
of time.
happens when
But,
he's no
like, I
longer
wasn't
live
sure if I could
ammunition
trust him,
against Ken Hovind.
right? Like, I don't trust Matt
Rage.
Powell. So everything Matt Powell told me,
Just a
talking
theory.
all that smack about Kent Hovind in that conversation, I'm like, Matt wants me to talk about this, right? So I never really talked about it, but because I don't know what to trust. I can't trust anything in my interactions with Matt Powell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know who do I trust? Like I'm so like basically learning as I go on. But Ken did say in that interview with that lady, that audio tape, that he says if he learned that Kent was doing, I'm sorry, if he learned that Chris was doing something, he would be immediately excommunicated off the property. You did hear that though, right?
Well, yeah, but like the accusation is that Chris did something, and he's justifying it. He's saying, "Why am
Right.
I responsible for that? It didn't happen on campus." When it from all indication, it did happen in that house that Cindy Lincoln once owned. I don't know who owns it now, but like it's still like they wanted to put him in what they call the man cave. It's an area of Dinosaur Adventureland where all the single men sleep in one big room, right? And they were going to put the Chris Jones and the boy in there. And from what Linda is saying, like, no, Kent Hovind overrode her, and she feels like to this day that she failed that little boy. She said straight out on Breatt Keen's channel today that little boy was molested. Did you know that all right, I don't want to jump the gun. I'm not going to get into that question yet. That I got a question about this coming up.
Yeah.
But so when I came into your stream last night and I confronted Kent Hovind about, basically him lying, saying he's gotten no notification. He has no
Right.
reason why they took down his YouTube channel. Kent admits he gets an email when I confront him. But then as soon as I exposed to him the implications of that he then lied on your stream last night that he had no knowledge of why YouTube took him down. Then he backtracked and said, "Oh, wait a minute. No, we got an email for the second for the second strike." But like, you realize he is lying about that. Like, YouTube did send him an email regarding why they terminated his channel. Like, you know that, right?
The second strike I'm aware of, but are you saying there's a third one now that is lying about?
I'm saying that he got an email when they took his channel down. He got an email for that.
Okay, well, I don't know. What he said is no, he didn't get one. I'm not sure that he. So for him to lie, I'm just saying, like, can you tell me at the timestamp or where he said that the third thing? Because it would have to be isn't it 3 strikes you're out on YouTube, or is it 2 strikes?
Well, it's 3 strikes you're out. But you can have your channel terminated with 0 strikes if you break certain guidelines. Like you say,
The community
like if you're
guidelines.
buying subs.
We gotta look them up again.
Okay. So like I wasn't aware of if there was something after the second strike. Like I didn't hear that when I was talking with him. But if you're saying there was and now he's lying,
yeah,
I would like to see that.
There definitely was. So I'll share this with you. This is YouTube's policy. It's on YouTube's help page. If your channel or account is terminated, you may be unable to use, own, or create any other YouTube channels / accounts. When a channel is terminated, the channel owner gets an email explaining the reason for the termination. So like Kent Hovind was literally lying on your channel last night saying he has no idea why YouTube took his channel down.
Yeah, and he did say
but there
that
was
he has a
someone that
backup
was
channel,
I put a
so
highlight in
don't
the
know how that
comment. You
happened.
can look down. It was Chris. I think his name's Chris. He says that he was terminated 3 times and he never got.
Yeah, that was actually not actually makes a point here. Like, if Kent can't create a new channel because he was terminated, how was he able to do it? My theory would be just make another email and I guess start from there. I don't know, like how YouTube would detect that. I mean, if anything, maybe it might track the product production code of the PC. I guess I don't know how that works. I don't know how YouTube does it. So the fact that Rage was able to catch Kent Hovind, that like in the guidelines, where if your channel gets terminated finally, you're not able to make a new one. So, but I guess the theory being that if he really isn't lying, then maybe he made another account, or used his same old email via a different product code of a PC or a VPN. I mean, those are one of the modes, so I don't know how he does it. But I think he did mention something of a new channel, which might be more of a supplement channel so that he could continue on with his Yak versus Evolution situation. Anyway,
Got an email. So it looks like this has happened to other people.
I don't know
so at
how
least we know
YouTube
it
really
has
works.
happened before.
Honestly, it's
Some
pretty subjective.
rando in your side chat says that it happened to them.
Yeah, he put it. I highlighted the comment. It's somewhere when Kent.
Well,
when
people
you
are
were
going to say
there
that, like people defend Kent Hovind for stuff that they have no idea that they can defend. Like people are going to say that, right, to defend that claim. But like it's YouTube's policy to sit. Like every time you've gotten a strike on your channel, or even like the basic copyright stuff that doesn't do anything to your channel, you get an email from YouTube, do you not?
Wait, so how does YouTube really track you in case if you do make a new account? Like, does it not just track the IP? I mean, I know you're telling me this now, or I guess if one thing, the genius thing would then for me to do, I guess. I mean, I'm not trying to give them any ideas, but I guess have them buy a new PC because they can also track the product code of the computer. So. But if that's what they really do, then I guess maybe he's using a VPN or something. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I got distracted reading the. Gosh, I shouldn't.
I'm sure you.
Sorry.
I'm sure you've had some
I'm technologically swell.
I had one. Yes, yeah. I had
You've
one.
gotten those copyright little things, like you use some music or something.
Oh yeah, I always get notifications.
So like emails, YouTube, you know, they have to worry about the legality of their actions. So when you have Kent Hovind in your stream saying that, making the claim that YouTube
worry
owes
is the
him
right word there.
$8,000, and then he's making
Sorry about the
claim
background
that
noises.
YouTube
They're
took down
watching
his
a
channel with
movie.
no notification, no email. He has no reason why. Like, does that sound legitimately reasonable to you?
No, I mean, yeah, from face value, yes, prima facie it doesn't. But weirder if things have happened, I give him the benefit of the doubt. I know you're going to come at me smoky in that too, and I think I was played there a little bit with smoky.
Here they
I
go.
just try
They're
to
bringing
be
up
generous to
Smokey.
people. That's all, because I try to be Christ-like, and some people take it as a weakness, but I think it's a strength. But that's just a difference in our worldview, anyway.
All right. So kind of back to Chris Jones now. Why didn't you want anyone to ask Kent about his relationship with Chris Jones last night? If he has
Oh, never
nothing to
mind. It's
hide,
just something
why
relatable to the
weren't
topic, I guess.
why couldn't that be a topic of conversation?
Kent's the one that
I know
didn't,
exactly. He didn't
yeah.
want it. He didn't want any talk about that. If he has nothing to hide,
Right.
why is he hiding?
There might be legal or legalities and things that he's
but it didn't stop him from talking about it and lying about the situation himself, right? So if you're gonna if you're gonna gag yourself for legal reasons, you say nothing, right? You don't say a little bit and then say, well, you can't ask me about all that shit I just said.
No, I mean that I understand. You make a good point there. I mean, you're right. I don't know. Like Ken did have a stroke too. Maybe he's not all there in the head, sometimes.
Yeah, he did have a stroke about a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah. So maybe he's there's some things where he could maybe it's not
Is it a left one?
malfunctioning or something in his thinking. I just honored his choice. I'm not trying to hide anything. I wasn't trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to back any pedophile. In fact, if I learn more evidence and this is coming out that Kent is, he's culpable for all this stuff, then I will disassociate from him. I mean, that's just a guarantee.
Well, yeah, and I definitely understand. Like he was a guest on your channel, and he's not only just any guest. He's a high end guest. Let's be honest. Like Kent Hovind's been doing this for a long time. Pretty much everybody knows who he is, right? So. So you do gotta take a balance there, but at the same time, and you did bring up the Smokey situation, especially with that Smokey situation, and I don't know, it seems like you want to strike that balance to where you want to be supportive, but at the same time, you don't want to be supportive of pedophilia or justifying it, or So last night,
being complicit.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to be complicit in any evil like that. That'd be actually going against God. I would be supporting what we would say Satan and his agenda and trying to bring down the kingdom of light from the kingdom of darkness. So I would never want to be complicit in anyone's evil actions, including Smokey or this Chris fellow. I just want to make that clear.
I freaking called it.
I want to separate myself from that.
Well, yeah, and I applaud you, and that's why I wanted to have this conversation and ask these questions, and hopefully these questions will make you think a bit about it a bit. Now, I know SFT's your boy, and SFT's hardcore, not only Hovind fan, but anything hardcore Baptist, right? So it's not just the young Earth shit.
Now, as a brief moment, I find it more convincing in light of Rage that's nothing more now than damage control and the part of Kent. Because you had someone like SFT come into the vanguard in one of Praise's streams concerning that, right before they had the Kent Hovind stream. Like, he's done his little lecture, and then he had the Q&A. And, he talks about free speech and leverages that thing. I mean, as far as I've heard from my anonymous sources, quote unquote, SFT's, as I would put it, he's pretty much from Errand Boy to Golden Boy of Kent Hovind. So I guess in this situation, this is what we would call, he is not biting the hand that fed him. But I don't know much about SFT's history with Kent Hovind, but it appears that way. I mean, as far as I know, most of his streams consisted of him having Kent there, so there is that. And I guess that's what gave him the subscriber count, because, a lot of people know Kent, and I guess where Kent goes, they follow. And that's how SFT probably had a growth. So, yeah, I guess by that, he's not biting the hand that feeds him. So, I could understand why that, in a way, why would anyone would either give them the benefit of the doubt, or let's not say it, but either cover it or something. and maybe in secret, you better make sure this doesn't happen again. Because although we have laws, it's not, people are just following the letters of it. They're not really taking it into intrinsic value kind of situation. That's the world we're living in. So
Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I know SFT's your boy, and SFT's hardcore, not only Hovind fan, but anything hardcore Baptist, right? So it's not just the young earth shit, it's the Baptist things as well. And the thing about SFT that you need to be aware of, and he'll sit there and say he doesn't agree with the Matt Powells of the world and the things that they say too, but he does. I've seen him in the side chats. I've seen him agreeing with them, supporting them when they make these statements. So people they understand, these really hardcore Baptists understand that if they come out hard with their beliefs on YouTube, they'll be banned. And SFT has a growing channel that he does not want to get banned. I wouldn't necessarily trust SFT here when it comes to Hovind. I'm just going to put it that way. All right, so
right, yeah, I'm gonna my investigation research will be independent of him. I mean, I love it. The SFT is my boy though, but I'm just.
well, you better be careful, Rage, because all he's going to do is end up calling you a lost atheist. And you don't know anything because you don't believe in God. It's not really a warning. I'm just saying that I'm going to call it that he's actually going to say that. So something along the lines like that.
I'm not trying to put you in a position where you're talking bad about him, but I'm just saying, like, with my interactions through Matt Powell, I have seen SFT in many side chats agreeing with the things that Matt Powell says. All right. So I mean, he can run away from it all he wants. I've talked shit to him about it several times. He knows where I stand on that, and he knows I'm not afraid to talk about it. All right. So last night, Ken accused Mark Stoney of paying a boy $10,000 to lie about Chris Jones. This boy that was in this situation that was supposedly off campus, right? Are you aware that this boy told his mom what happened at Dow with Chris 5 days after he returned home from his visit to Dow? 5 days. 5 days. Like, he was probably tortured about it and finally came out to his mom, told her the truth. 5 days. Do you think that Mark Stoney paid that boy $10,000 to lie on Kent Hovind and Chris Jones in 5 days?
The details of that are cloudy because I was watching it on Breatt Keen's show, and like it was conflicting things. So, I mean, that right there, the way you frame that question, it seems like unlikely, but I don't know.
I get the
really
5 days from that interview with the Daily Beast woman, because she brings that up. She says, because, you know, Kent always talks about how the mother says that he loved Dow and it was better in Disneyland, and you know, the interviewer brings up, well, 5 days after the boy returned home, he told his mom what happened and she filed this complaint. He's like, I wasn't aware of that. Like, I mean, come on, 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean, paying this boy $10,000, like Mark Stoney paying this boy $10,000. Mark Stoney, who's supposedly this cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs ex-vet with PTSD that doesn't know what the hell he's doing, paid $10,000. Come on. I mean, even without you take away the 5 days, like, come on, right?
Unless Mark Stoney's rich, I don't know. I mean, didn't that same kid come on Breatt Keen's show and tell everyone nothing happened? I thought that's what happened on Breatt Keen's show.
I don't think, like, if his mom is filing 5 days after the kid returned home. I doubt he went back on Kent Hovind's channel, but I don't know. Maybe he did. So do you still believe Kent Hovind?
I, but yes, I would say that I do trust him, right? I do believe him, but there's still this little part of me that is really questioning things that I'm hoping, like it's more of like it's like a positivity that he is right. So I'm not like 100% confident that he is right, but it's just more of I'm hoping he's right. That I trust him with what he's saying. So
I like how you said that. I'm hoping that he's right.
Yeah.
I hope that I hope that his bad decisions weren't intentional bad decisions, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So all right, so I'm going to switch gears again, and hopefully you're not going to take this offensive, but I just want to know, based on some statements that you've said, do you think pedophiles deserve forgiveness?
Yes.
Why?
Because they can be changed into new people, and I think that's through Jesus Christ.
So I mean, sure, they can be, I guess, changed through new people. I don't think through Jesus Christ. I think through probably some psychiatry and and some self-reflection and self-help and all of that. I think that is probably possible. But even then, like I've always said, to me, pedophilia is the worst crime you can commit. To me, the second worst crime is rape. I can understand, like, all right, that this guy killed somebody 20 years ago and he's completely repentant and changed his life. But like when you rape or commit pedophilia, you're leaving you're leaving deep emotional scars. But not only that, like I don't think people can like actually change what they're attracted to. Like once you're attracted to something, I don't think you can change it. You can fight against it, right? But I don't think that you can necessarily change it. Like, can you imagine yourself just being able to stop yourself from being attracted to women?
I would beg to differ. I'll give you an example. There was a mass murderer, a serial killer, Jeffrey Dahmer, and he had all the he was driven to kill and eat people. He's a cannibal, and he says that.
Now, I do remember the time where the naked mole rat in the left was talking to me about forgiveness, trying to get me to denounce my elder. Now, I will be honest here. The reason why I stepped in there is because it's a norm in the YouTube sense that if you didn't like someone, you'd accuse them as a pedophile. That's the usual drama sequence there. You don't like someone, you want to expose someone, you just you just call them a pedophile or call them any heinous thing. Now, the thing is, I knew basically enough to know that that cannot be substantiated. So they took to people with the authority and means to get him on a case that could land him in prison. But going back, it's for me, it's really hypocritical for Rage here to be talking about forgiveness in light of me, given we had that conversation in the news unit. You want to talk about people not deserving forgiveness? Well, if that sort of criteria comes at you, don't be surprised, because if you don't think if you think you actually still deserve forgiveness, or you think you would beg for compassion to give you forgiveness, then you're not going to get it, because that's what you're going to go with. That's the environment you want. Now, personally, I would forgive people, no matter how great the offense, but I would no longer associate with that particular group, because if there's one thing also that's broken, it's trust. It's forgiveness in a sense that we don't become friends, but the optimal course of action also that not only, I mean, it doesn't necessarily take away the damage that has been done and the memory of it, but let's just call it a truce, forget about what happened, not necessarily forget like as an erased memory, you'd still remember that. It's a matter of getting into a tranquil scenario where we don't need this grudge to continue. We don't need more of this. We don't need to strive against each other often. Okay? So, when I forgive my enemies, it's not just I'm not necessarily friends with them, but it's a means of peaceful dissociation with them. It's possible to forgive and not be friends. But of course, you wouldn't know that. What would you know of forgiveness? Only forgiveness are only for people who deserve it, yeah? But then in many ways, people would beg for compassion towards that. So if that's really the kind of environment that you want, then I'll gladly honor that. Because if you beg for compassion, I won't give it to you. You don't also have to give it to me. You've already demonstrated that while I was there. Anyway.
That all changed in one instant when he learned about that, evolution was false and that Jesus Christ is the true God of the Bible. And he started,
he says that.
Yeah.
But he's also locked up and not able to go kidnap.
Well, no, someone killed him.
Yeah.
So, I understand, but
as far as metanoia and repentance goes, nobody becomes a non-pedophile or nobody loses that urge over a day. It takes time, all right? There could be the mistake of letting the man who likes to fiddle little kids way too early, like way off the psychiatric ward. And tragically, most of them never get out. Because the psychiatric ward or the rehab ward are for people who want to change. If they want to change, they will start anew. They will get out. But people will stay there because they won't. That's the tragic side of it. But if you do manage to transition from a psychiatric ward or a rehab center, then the means are rewarding. Now, I would forgive a pedophile, let's say, if he did rape my child. Well, I might kick his ass for a bit, but there has to be this closure. I'm forgiving him because I want to resemble Christian ethics, and I think that this grudge no longer needs to continue because I've already gotten what I want. I kicked his ass. I make sure he's in jail. He's no longer like harassing my child. We'll call it a day. I can't spend my whole life just hating the dude. I'm not saying that what he did automatically becomes good. I'm not saying that that me forgiving him changes anything. All I'm saying is that let's just stop this now because I'm tired and I don't like you. I need to fix my mouse again. My mouse keeps acting up. Well, not my mouse, my D-pad. I have removed every single function on this thing and it still chooses to bug around with me. Stop freaking... Gosh. Stop. Just stop. D-pad, stop doing what I don't want you to do.
I've seen other accounts. There's even another murder out there that was this one. The Brooklyn Strangler or Boston Strangler, one of those guys in New York. Or
the idea is
people say that
metanoia.
all the time. They, a lot of times they're saying it for the parole board and nobody
But
else.
I guess
Right?
I would.
I mean, these people weren't getting out though. I mean, we're talking some infamous
parole
murders
board,
out
PR
there.
campaigns. I mean, but whatever. Like, I take it as a grain of salt. People are going to say a thing, right? But like, when I bring this up, because I think that everybody's redeemable, And I don't want people being judged on their past, but when it comes to something like pedophilia, even if you do find the person redeemable, there you have to take an element of responsibility there, right? So me,
Just one more thing. I know I'm kind of pulling a knock here where I'm just pausing almost every single second there, but here's the thing. It's already like it's almost like come to the point where implicitly and indirectly connotating to this that there's this part of knock which screams that I am unable to refute the multifaceted syllogism that Smoky Saint gave to me as to how I'm a pedophile supporter. That's it. That's all.
as
Right.
a parent of a child, even though I might be able to look at this person and say, all right, I think he's changed his ways, I'm not going to bet my child on that, right?
Right. I agree.
So to me, it's like this is something, especially considering all of the rhetoric towards atheists. I know you just put out a video earlier today about this supposedly this transgender person. I didn't watch the video; I just saw the title. Transgender person masturbates in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Liberalism is
Yeah.
like some kind of mental condition, right?
Yeah.
Like, considering those kinds of statements and how there doesn't seem to be much faith or grace for atheists or trans people, but yet there is this faith and grace for pedophiles. Do you see?
Well, no, it's faith and grace for anyone that is repentant and admits that, to come to God and admit that, hey, I'm a sinner. I'm sick. I need a physician. I need Jesus Christ to help my life out, whatever position or whatever is haunting them, whatever sin or whatever they're doing. Jesus can help, and
Really,
he
Bracelet?
heals. He'll get you into
Did he
a
really
new
say that?
frame of mind, a new person. He changes your mind into a new creature. So it doesn't matter if they're. I mean, when I attack, like the video I put up today, it's the people that do not want God, even when they're in their sin.
I don't want
So
God in
that
my sin. So am I worse than a pedophile?
no, I mean, no, I would say no because
I know I'm gonna sound like the banana man here, but he's right when um, when people try to trivial when people sorry, there's background and music. When people no, I'm not keeping a bunch of girls hostage. Of course, there's just a bunch of people out there watching some horror movie. They like to scare their own pants off. So basically, Banana Man's analogy is like whenever you have somebody trivializing their wrong deeds, it's like, I might have stolen a candy bar, but hey, I'm a good person. Look at that guy; he's robbing a bank. And he says, well, I'm robbing a bank to feed my children, but hey, I'm a good person, right? I mean, look at that guy; he's murdering people. The murdering guy is like, well, I murdered this guy because he did this and that, but hey, I'm a good person. Look at your politician; he's doing this and that. You see, it's just to the point where it's just to the point where it's now just it's just there's always somebody you have to infer who's worse than you to be able to validate yourself that what you're doing is less evil. But the unequivocal idea there that it's evil, you've done evil, you're no better, could be lesser, could be greater, but evil is evil. Now, as to regards to consequence, yes, I mean that would be all optimal because compared to the former values, being a politician, being corrupt, and leading the freaking country down into an economic drain or a collapse in society, that's a greater one compared to murdering one or, I guess, stealing a bank or stealing a candy from a baby. The fact is, it's uncalled for, dude. You're no better. I mean, yeah, I support laws that somehow implicitly support the abuse of children and being being trafficked and left by illegal immigrants because they're just being used as a cover. But hey, I'm not worse than a pedophile now. That doesn't mean I'm not worse than a pedophile now, right? It's always this endless cycle of trivializing your mistakes. Why can't you just admit that you just fucked up or something? Anyway.
According to the Bible says, it says that if you've broken one law, you've broken them all. So God doesn't see it as men or humans see it. That human sees it. That if it's even one
You just
little
repeated my
infraction
point.
against
Thanks.
God, it's to him it's death.
But can you
So
not
that's
see
the way
the
I look at
inconsistency
it.
there, though, right? Like,
I can see where you're coming from, yes, but I see in a different way, though. I think that it doesn't matter even if you stole a pack of bubble gum, you're not going to go to heaven. So when I say, like, are you
Now, I'm going to mediate for praise here. The Ten Commandments, the Decalogue, or the Levitical law, or whatever law. Okay, those are results. Okay, they're incidentals. Okay, it's what God wanted in specific times, in specific places, in specific cultures during that time. Okay, now these Old Testament laws, they're not objective morality itself per se. No, that is just the result of the source of the objective morality. So if you're going to look at the Decalogue or the Levites, it's not wise to say that they are the objective morality, but it would point you to reference the source of such. Now, hold on. They're saying happy. I'll do that later.
worse than this someone who stole a pack of bubble gum? No, I think you're on the same level.
So stealing a pack of bubblegum is on the same level as a pedophile.
Yes, when it comes to going into heaven.
Praise. The answer is no. It's not.
Well, yes, with God it is in going into heaven.
Can you not see that that's one of many fucked up things about the God you believe in? Because it's not
no
in
one
any
is
way. It's not.
But the point, I can see your point. I understand, but I'm just saying there is no no one is justified to go to heaven on their own merit. That's the whole point. Everyone falls short. And that's what I mean. But yes, I mean, as far as the level of the crime itself, I would say yes, for us as humans, that's a terrible crime. And it affects, pedophilia affects people for their lives. So yes.
No, just... Yeah, I know. I think I need to feed them. No, they're fine. Anyway, so to mediate to praise, okay, the Old Testament and New Testament, the Old Testament laws, let's say particularly because, the atheists like to leverage this. These are not just a simple constitution of a list of do's and don'ts, okay? And I would even go as far as to say that whenever the atheists try to get the Christians to run amok in morality debates, and they would point to the Deuteronomy or Levitical, and all they got is because God said so. Now, I believe that in a way. I appreciate that because, why would I question the incomprehensible? I mean, I wouldn't know, but that would be fallacious in a way too, by means of our reasoning, not the God. But since we appeal to that, then we sort of put him in a bad light. But these laws were not necessarily, again, just a regular on the surface constitution of a list of do's and don'ts. It's not like that. Now, going back, I would say that the atheist, when concerning the Bible and morality itself, when they look at these laws, they're doing the thing that the Pharisees would do, which is to be more concerned with the letter of the law than regarding the weightier measures of the law. It was in God's pleasure to give us a universal where it's true for all cultures. Now, the Decalogue and the Levitical law, as far as I'm concerned, would be a construct in light and in response to the situation that in these times where the Israelites were, like during the time in this wilderness, in adapting to the pagan cultures around them, to show that they are different from them. They had to have some sort of diets. They had to have some sort of customs. Now, it's not necessarily where shrimp was never in the menu, but during that time they had to abstain from shrimp to show that, hey, we're different from you, and we don't partake the things that you partake, especially when you sacrifice them to idols. It doesn't make eating shrimp alone an evil moral thing. It was a means to separate them from the multitude. And Israel was in a bit of a pickle there because they were also allowing all kinds of paganism into their systems. So God made these laws, made these rules in light and in response to some Jewish people serving two masters, where they thought they can serve both God and serve their idols, take part in pagan rituals. Okay, that was the whole idea. It's not just a bunch of list of constitutional do's and don'ts, and if you don't do any of them, you're going to get staked. That's never it. This is now I can't proficiently quantify it, but what I'm getting at is the nomos of God. As Dr. Kenny would put it, it is the constitution within. We're trying to get ourselves to like accept this constitutional law within that is universal for us. And to simply appeal that if we do these things, we get punished, so we wouldn't want that. That doesn't make us necessarily good. That just makes us bad people who have a tendency to break the law. And we're basically just good people on a leash. That's the idea of metanoia there. God is trying to get you to accept these values, these virtues, these tenets, or let's say the 10 Commandments or whatever, but more getting into the bigger picture beyond the texts, beyond these Levitical laws, beyond the Decalogue, beyond the letters of the law. He's trying to connotate to you what would be a better optimal thing to do. Now, by itself on surface, these Decalogues and the Levitical laws, if we take it at its surface, we might end up running amok. But if we learn, let's say like if we get a little bit of philosophy on our laws and come to some intrinsic conclusions or intrinsically valuing these laws, then it's not really just about abiding in these things, but you seem to get the value of what these laws are trying to accomplish. They're not trying to get you to behave like robots, or they're not trying to get you to be scared if you break any of these. No, that's not the main point. Well, there are those punishments, but it's not the main point. It is a matter of you're not just a lawful man in paper. You really are a lawful man by heart. And it's not just in light of these laws culturally. It's not just in these laws, which probably are constructs, but again, as I would infer, the constitution within, the moral law within. You are now transcending into a universal transcendent idea of do's and don'ts, not a list. I'm putting out there of do's and don'ts. Okay, it has to be more. It has to morphly be in concerns with your character. Okay, and like I mean, my point is that Jesus and God was never trying to have some sort of legalistic revolution, but he was trying to get us that in spirit and in character, that if we were to that would get us to passionately choose good, to be good, not just in law, not just in letter, not just in paper, but within ourselves too. That's what he was trying to accomplish. If that were being the case, then God would have outlawed divorce. He would have outlawed polygamy. Now, well, he did not outlaw polygamy because during that time, if you were a woman, the best way for you to be protected in a household was to not be a servant in the household, but to be a wife. But of course, the optimal scenario would be that it would be one husband and one wife. That would be the optimal one too. It fulfills the telos of love. Okay. Whereas also in the idea of divorce, where although it was an outlawed, but because we know what divorce offers and we know what happens that if we do things that would not make our marriage last in the process, then it would be better that we don't need to. I mean, if we don't want to go for divorce, we have to take means to make sure that it doesn't happen. So it's more of a character thing. Heck, even Peter furtherly expounds that if you can't handle a marriage, or if you couldn't handle having to be wed by a pagan, or anything that would get you just divorced in the long run, it would be better not to marry. It's all about optimal situations. It's about trying to get us to have some sort of universal, transcendent do's and don'ts, not just the list of these things, which is more connotating to the spirit. Like, take for example, we know that bullying is wrong, right? We don't need a law for it. We don't need to punish people for it. We don't need some kind of law that would warrant that if you bully, we're going to put you in bars. We know that's not a good thing to do. So it's good to the point that we don't even need a law to tell us that it's bad, or some written law that it's bad. We know that even in through heart, we know that's not a good thing to do. So that's what God's trying to accomplish. And then again, as I've said a while ago concerning bullying, that is the constitution within, not just the letter, not just a bunch of laws written. Okay? If written laws were just what we needed to get us to bow down, then we're not basically good people, or we're not as Christians, we're not actually engaging in metanoia, but we're basically just bad people on a leash. Well, I'll continue. What do you think of that, Basement?
Psychologically, it's terrible. It's a lot worse than stealing bubblegum, I would say.
Oh, I'd rethink that. All right. Should people cover up or make justifications for pedophiles and their behaviors? Because this is the criticism of Kent Hovind. This is my criticism of Kent Hovind. That we feel like this is what he's done. And we think that there's ample evidence. Not, Kent Hovind says, no, I didn't do that, but provides no evidence. There's ample evidence out there that's exactly what he did.
Mm-hmm. And if that evidence stacks up, and it's like, I'm going to have to, because like some of the evidence I wasn't even aware of. I'm going to look into that. And I mean, if it ends up being, valid evidence, and absolutely, that is something that you would have to ask him to repent at least, and come out and be honest with people and just let people know and repent. If he doesn't, I would have to disassociate with him. I mean, if that's what happens, I don't know. I'm still looking into all this stuff. I'm still learning,
It was never really about uploading the consumption of shrimp at that time. If you wanted to influence the pagan nations, and mind you, it's a mixed multitude, because he didn't just had regular Jews who believed Abrahamic God. You also had Jews who were taking part on pagan rituals and in their cultures too, where they thought stealing and burning your babies into a burning hot slabs was okay. Because I'm sorry.
So
I was sorry about that.
People know and repent. If he doesn't, I would have to disassociate with him. I mean, if that's what happens, I don't know. I'm still looking into all this stuff. I'm still learning,
Oh yeah, and I'm not trying to roast you. I am literally. I wrote out these questions, and I've been highly critical since I came back to YouTube after finding my job, and I came back. I was gone for 13 days. I found a job. I started working a job. I came back. Kent Hovick's channel's taken down. All this stuff is happening. And I'm like, what is going on? All right. So I'm almost done with the Chris Jones part of my questions. And then I got just a few more. And then you can say whatever you want to say about me and my coverage if you have anything to say. So why do you, would you take it? And I know that you don't have any children yet, but like say when you have a little boy and your little boy's 9, 10, 11 years old, knowing what you do know of when it comes to this situation, if you had a 9-year-old little boy, would you take that 9-year-old little boy to Dow if you knew that Chris Jones was there in a position of authority?
No, absolutely not.
If he was there,
not with Chris Jones there, yeah.
So you wouldn't do it, right?
Hell no.
So can you understand why people are upset with Kent Hovind for having this man, with giving this man the ability to not only come into Dow, but when he does come into Dow, because he never lived there, you know, he comes there a couple times a year, that he actually has authority there. Like,
yeah,
people,
I mean, well,
like, you know, that's the issue with Kent Hovind right now. And you know, like, he telling me in a side chat saying I'm spreading rumors, but no, this is what happened. This is my beef personally with Kent Hovind right now.
Yeah, so like authority means like he has some type of like supervisor, or he like some like administration type of abilities. I would never be around
that when he was there, he did have those abilities.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea that either. That's something I just learned.
I could be wrong about that, but from my understanding, from what I've heard from Cindy Lincoln and a lot of these people that came out, he was giving a lot of power when he was there.
Oh, I say I didn't even know that.
So why do you and everyone else give Kent Hovind a pass for his cover-up of Chris Jones sleeping in the same bed as a little boy when he was at Dow?
Because of the information I had, the background information that I thought I had, which I'm learning new stuff now I'm going to look into, but I thought that this happened outside the knowledge of Kent. So it was outside of Kent's domain. In other words, if this was, so if Kent like just turned his head and said, oh, you know, I'm going to let this happen anyway, and just pretend like it's not going to happen, then that's where I would never back Kent.
Well, so I would highly suggest that. I don't know how long Brett's going to go tonight, but like when Brett's done or after this, if you're not doing anything, go check out the Brett stream that's going on right now. The very beginning of it, he starts with Linda Shark. Linda Shark was on the campus. Linda Shark was the one that wanted to put Chris Jones and the little boy in the man cave. She was the one that Kent Hovind personally overruled and sent them to this house alone, right? So I would suggest you don't have to trust Brett Keane. I don't, right? But she was there, right? And
okay.
Maybe she's lying. Maybe she has an agenda, but she was there. I would listen to what she has to say on it.
I will definitely do that.
All right. I think I don't have. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it with Chris Jones. So I've already asked this once. You've kind of answered it, but I'll go ahead and ask it again because it's in my list here. How long have you been a fan or supporter of Kent Hovind?
Oh, for a while, at least. Let's see here. Probably going back to like 2008, at least around that time. So it's been a while. Yeah.
See, and I think that this can be a class study. And I did a stream about this, talking shit. That's what I do, right? But like I talk smack, like, how do I know Kent Hovind better than these people that have followed Kent Hovind since 2008, 2009, right? How were you not aware that Kent shares a lot of common beliefs with Steven Anderson, or that he was good friends with Steven Anderson until Kent's first divorce and then subsequent marriages, which goes against NIFB doctrine. So like they were homies
of the
until Kent got divorced, and Steven Anderson does not believe in divorce. So they've had this feud ever
security
since.
Dude.
No, I knew that. It's just I would disagree with a lot of their beliefs. I mean, I think that
like he would really appeal to this no true Scotsman fallacy concerning eternal security, where, oh, he was never really a Christian to begin with if he apostatized in the end. No, because apostasy is something you take in the heart. It is something you decide to do. It's something that you take upon yourself to actually take part, to embark on. It's like you're trying to erase every single trace of you of whatever you were during your time as some sort of convert. So remember that when they try to bring out that no true Scotsman fallacy, that they were never saved or they were never Christian to begin with. But you literally have proselytes, and they have testimonies too, as to how they've jumped from one conversion over to the other. So just remember that.
To actually see very sound on many biblical things, but the gay things and some of these others I would disagree with him with. And the same with Ken.
Go ask Will to review this. He'll whip that up.
The killing adulterous wives,
right, yeah, all that I would disagree with, and I think I could disprove that.
To prison for disobeying their parents. Right? Like,
that's some hard.
Yeah, you two, I actually agree with that. Sending your kids to prison because they disobey their parents. Do you see how Christians or even atheists appealing to that get run amok by morality debates because they look at these laws as some on-face they look at this on some sort of on-face constitutional view, and they value it that way. They get run amok by that. This is why exegesis and hermeneutics is important. Because to curse your parents was a means of not just cursing out your mother, cursing out your father, forgetting to sweep the floor. It's not that. It connotates more to ruining their quality of life, getting them murdered, getting them to suffer poverty in the worst way you can. And the thing about that is it has to be premeditated. Like you really have to be some kid who really hates their parents so much. It's not a rule for kids. And it's not just a rule that's applied to the kids, if that were your argument. The parents should know this, that they ought to not provoke their children into anger. That's in Proverbs, which is not in the Decalogue or Levitical law, but it's a wisdom that should be true for all parents. So if you compare the variants that I've put, which do you think has more power? The wise sayings that meet the criteria of the Constitution within, or just some text that you just look at as some constitutional list of do's and don'ts? Because apparently in Proverbs you find both honor your mother and father, and for the parents in another chapter in Proverbs, do not provoke your children to anger. Because at the same time, you also wouldn't want to chastise them. You also wouldn't want to spank them, too. It even gives parents the chance to actually take a look within themselves and ask themselves, what am I doing wrong to not raise my child right? So, got that going on.
My gosh.
We can't forget one of the worst ones, the blatant anti-Semitism. Like, they're anti-Semites.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think hate speech is protected free speech?
We do hate speech all the time, dude.
Let's see. To me,
like
that's a loaded
Biden
question.
And what he actually hates.
What constitutes hate speech? Like, what is your metric for that?
So if you're
and I
pointing
also
at a group
hate the
of people,
elitist group that you voted for,
people, and you're saying that entire group of people needs to be exterminated, that's definitely hate speech.
That can be construed as hate speech.
A lot of things you hate too, dude. And so that's protected, I guess. No one's taking it against.
Should that be allowed for them to voice that? Yes. Why not? They could. Why? Because see, my point is, why do you want a Muslim?
Hate speech is not guaranteed free speech. It's for one, in American free speech, right? Constitutionally,
The
free
idea is
speech
you can
only
say
applies to the
whatever the
government. The
heck you
government cannot
want.
take away your free speech. An individual company, I mean, for a capitalist, you should know this. An individual company has every right to do whatever the fuck they want.
yeah.
Right. All right. So, but even like for a broader argument, because I brought this up in one of my streams, a lot of times people want to go to the UN's Universal Human Rights and Article 19 specifically that talks about free speech. But even there, in their definition of what free speech is, hate speech is not included in that. Hate speech is not a protected speech. Now, I am one. I agree with you. I don't think that we should push these people to the shadows. We should
Like, what do you mean by protected speech? If it comes across your ear, I don't think anyone's. The only time speech would be protected is if you're faced with a fascist, I guess. Just trying to wrap my head around that one.
confront them, combat them.
Exactly. Ridicule them.
But when they're espousing free speech, that speech is not protected in any way. So even though I feel like they shouldn't be quote unquote canceled, if others feel like they should be and they go about doing so, they're not really doing anything unconstitutional, or they're not taking away free speech. They're in my making an error in my opinion by pushing these people to the shadows, because I think that they gain strength in the shadows. I think that by keeping it in the light of day and just debunking it visibly, that's the better way to go about it. But like to like, I don't know, for YouTube to take them off of their platform for that, that's probably because YouTube faces legal penalty for allowing that kind of speech to continue. It's very dangerous. Would you not agree?
Yes, but I think what constitutes hate speech needs to be defined better. There needs to be a better
I definitely think people
criteria.
go overboard with it. For sure.
Right.
But I think definitely when you're saying like this group of people needs to be exterminated, that's hate speech.
Well, any of that stuff, yes.
If you're using
I
like
agree.
the N-word and if you're being derogatory in any way towards people, like using slurs towards them, I think that can be construed as hate speech. But definitely if violence isn't implicated, then
threats and violence, that's where I draw the line.
Yeah. So and that's the thing that I took issue with when UNSFT are talking about how Matt Powell and Steven Anderson should just be left to their own devices and be able to say whatever they want to say. They're not protected. They're not protected, and they still can say whatever they want to say. They just can't say it on YouTube anymore. And that's not canceled. That's like Dave Chappelle going around saying he's canceled when he's doing shows at Madison Square Garden. That's not canceled. Right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. But I think, Steven Anderson did kind of give like a disclaimer on his death or killing homosexuals or whatever. He said that we still obey the government what they say. But if it was under like a theocracy, then he would say, then yes, at that point, then they should be executed. So he did say we follow the government, though. So I think
it's not necessarily a theocracy. So he does. Yeah, he says follow the laws of man. Don't go out and get yourself
the theocracy
forever, right?
Theocracy today would not succeed. The only time theocracy succeeded was during those times in the Old Testament.
So evangelical Christianity has a huge lobby. National Prayer Breakfast, go check it out. They have one of the biggest lobbies in politics, and they are trying to push these hardcore Christian ideas. They test them out in places like Uganda, over in Africa, where National Prayer Breakfast is directly behind them, trying to implement laws that would actually execute gay people. So they try them out in these places so they can start implementing them here. They don't necessarily need a theocracy. They just need enough politicians to get their way.
Yeah, I mean, that is scary there. So you're right. If they overpowered and got the majority vote or something and took over.
That's the whole point behind the Quiverful movement, right? Like, so if you go and look at the Quiverful movement, people like the Duggars and people like that, they'll blatantly say they have all these kids because they want to raise an army for Christ. They want to infiltrate pop culture and politics. So the Duggars, they raise their kids into politics and and music or whatever, and they had their huge lobbyists. A lot of these people have just exponential wealth, like crazy amounts of wealth, and yeah, like they are trying to breed a theocracy into America. It's their goal.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, I mean, Jesus said religion is probably the most dangerous thing out there. He hates religious or what's the word? Hypocrites. And it's the Pharisees were the same way. They wanted to do all these things, and implement all these things in their law of the Roman law back then. And so Jesus hates it. He doesn't like these hypocrites out there. So they think that they're being zealous for the Lord, but I think they're just using it for an evil purpose. So there can be people that go under the banner or the guise of Christianity, but they're actually doing evil. And I would say that at that point, then you're just doing evil, because that's not what the Bible says. It's about grace, forgiveness, and mercy. And that's what Christianity is predicated on.
I think I'm almost done with my questions. And I'm going to know the answers to a lot of these questions, but I want you to understand, like, I think sometimes maybe you don't quite understand what you say. Like SFT will say something like, we need to be combating Matt Powell and Steven Anderson, not canceling them. And then you'll make comments and for somebody like me that actually does that combats them, right? Like I don't see too many Christians doing it, but I do it. I combat them on this stuff. Like for somebody like me, when I see people say that and they're not actually confronting these people, they're just saying, well, people should just confront them, and they're not actually doing it. To me, that all right, I've got a question mark now. All right, so do you internally really agree with these ideas? So I'm going to just ask the questions. I know the answers. Do you support the views of Steven Anderson and Matt Powell?
Not all of. I mean, some I do, and a lot I don't. I mean, as far as laws go, no. So I mean, with some other things, I do.
Executing all gay people?
No, absolutely.
Locking up wives that cheat on their husbands?
Nope.
Do you think God wants children in prison for disobeying their parents?
No.
Do you think, as they do, that all homosexual men are pedophiles?
No.
Do you think Christians should stand against such things and call out the preachers that are preaching them?
Yes.
Do you think atheists should?
Yes.
Do you think that when Christians and atheists call out these hate preachers for their bigoted and hateful speech, that they are trying to cancel them?
That is a question. I don't know the motives of people, but I would say generally no is probably for the principle of it. But I don't know the ulterior motives of people, though. So this is where it gets gray area for me.
All right. So should people that express hate speech be canceled? Now, I understand. I agree with you. The term hate speech, it could be muddled with a lot of gray there, right?
It's a fuzzy word, yeah.
But like for hate speech that is just like definite, we would both agree this is definite hate speech. Should people
violence or threats?
Yeah. Should people that express that kind of hate speech be canceled? That is, should they face repercussions in their real lives for their hateful rhetoric that they put online or some type of media or another?
Yes, we know is hate speech. Yes,
and I am in full agreement with that. I don't think we should push them to the shadows, but I definitely don't think that we should allow them to be a doctor if they're a white supremacist and they have to care for black people, right? Like,
right, exactly.
If you're a cop and I don't know, like you're an NIV that thinks all gay people should be executed, I'm not going to trust you to be fair with a gay person and like say a domestic violence situation, or you're called to somebody's home. Like, yeah, I think that especially if you're put in a position of you work in a position of authority,
I'm going to do a little.
It's our moral obligation
the smoke
to cancel you from that.
It's basically an article.
Yes, at that point where we know it is something that involves violence or threats, then yes.
To my guests.
All right, I appreciate it. That's all the questions that I have for you, Praise. I appreciate you coming in here and taking the fire and answering them. So yeah. I wanted to get this done in about an hour, but if you have anything for me, be more than what, like if any criticisms of my coverage or the way that I approached Kent Hovind last night, anything that you want to say, like if you think I'm being unfair to you, Because I'm trying not to be. I'm just trying to understand like where you're coming from in all of this.
So do you think like the malfeasance, like you would say there's some malfeasance going on here, what's going on with Kent and the Christians, but I'm going to return that question, put the ball in your court. Do you think the same malfeasance has happened in the atheist or secular community?
No. For one, like, so a lot of atheists right now that are celebrating Kent Hovind's channel being taken down are probably going to wake up in a week and realize they can't make content anymore. Right. So I think that they're celebrating, what they think, bad stuff happening to what they think is a very bad person. But I don't think like they've had anything to do with Kent Hovind's channel being taken down. I'm sure some of them flagged Kent Hovind, but I don't think that there was some plot by atheists or evolutionists to get rid of Kent Hovind. I think that if anything, if there was a flag campaign, it most likely came from a bunch, because it came from the Christians, because there's this growing population of Christians that are finding out, especially since the Daily Beast article, what is happening in Dow, and they're turning against Kent Hovind.
Yeah, okay, but I was more like, do you think they cover, like, do you think there's situations where atheists would, like, let's say like a figure like Matt Dillahunty or Aaron or Aaron Ra or just name what everyone out there. I don't even know all their names, but do you think they would do the same things as what you're saying that what the Christians are doing with?
Well, yeah, I think it happens. I think for one, I think it's a human condition. I think we kind of play team sports. Like I can think of like Adam Silverman for one. Like there's a lot of atheists that don't agree with Adam Silverman. Adam Silverman's been accused of sexually harassing women beneath his position of power. But there is definitely an element of atheists out there that's more than willing to go around and justify that behavior. I think that I can't think of like this, like a really big atheist that there's been pedophilia associated with. I'm sure that they're out there. I just can't think of them. But I'm sure that if that is the case, then there is probably an element of atheists that believe that atheist no matter what the evidence says.
I'm more in the
So,
notion
like,
that
this
he's
isn't
paranoid.
some flaw in Christianity.
A paranoid hater.
But I do think I definitely do think that Christians play team sports a lot more than atheists do. Atheists, we will point the finger right at each other's face like, you suck. Why? Like, how many times have I heard like, why do you even talk about evolution? Like, this is why I don't talk about evolution anymore.
Exactly. I appreciate that transparency, man. That's I have a lot more respect for you after that.
Yeah. I try to be fair. Like, atheists,
I would have more respect for Steve McCrae when it comes to calling out atheists.
There might come a point where I need a raging atheist to call me out because I'm justifying some fucked up behavior because I can't figure it out, right? I'm going to need somebody to help me figure it out, right?
Yes, and maybe this will be a good transition for Smokey because I know that you really had some disagreements with how I approach Smokey, but maybe I can.
We worked those out, but yeah, you can comment on it because I have brought it up. Like, I brought up the similarities just based in. Like there seems to be this pattern now because you did justify smoking.
Basement, do you think this is a small, vague sign of smoky derangement syndrome?
And like just the implications behind that, it's like maybe you don't even notice that there's this little pattern developing here.
No, I can see how people would see how, that praise is definitely going in this pattern of trying to justify these criminals or whatever, but that's not my intention, Ray. It just never has been. And, believe it or not, like me and Smokey were like, we had some times where we were, intimate in like the talking about things and privately and on the phone and stuff. And like he like basically schmoozed me over to believe like he was innocent. And I fell hook, line, and sinker for that. So yes, I was sort of an idiot, a gullible idiot for that. But I want you, if you can ever see the sequence of events that happened when Rob, Rob, I think is Rob, I forget his last name now.
The lawyer guy, I know you're talking about.
The lawyer, right. When he came out with that picture of Kenny there, Rob Reed, there he is. Yeah. I love Rob. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
And he changed, in fact, he changed my whole outlook on them because you'll see after that picture came out, immediately I came with a video against Smokey. It was the next day.
Yeah, when you had hard proof, you turned against him and you didn't turn back. And I've always commended you for it. Like I said,
Yeah.
you were late to the party, but hey, I'm glad you're here now. Right?
Exactly. So I did ignore a lot of warning signals from you guys. You're right. And it's sort of like with Kent too. If I find that same hardcore evidence, bye Kent.
Right.
I'm going to be against you.
That's awesome.
I think you're a despicable, low-life scumbag. And I mean, if that really comes out to be true, I will be anti-Ken Hovind. I'll join your side. I'll be on putting the sign up again. Get Ken Hovind in jail or something. I mean, whatever it is, the penalty. But yeah,
so I totally respect that, man. And I, hopefully, like I said, you don't have to like diss your boy SFT. But when it comes to this, take his words as a grain of salt and do it yourself. Just find it. Like I said, go look at what Linda Shark was saying today. Like when I put it in the side chat, I was like, holy shit, I was just listening to the interview with the Daily Beast woman and he completely denies this, right? But here she is laying out the very question that the woman interviewer was asking Kent Hovind.
Yeah, I got to sort a lot of this out, but I'm definitely going to take a look at that. And I'm going to be as objective as possible. And if it does look like that is, Kent is negligent in all this and he willingly is negligent, then I'm going to separate myself. I mean, not necessarily from SFT because I love SFT, it's between SFT and Kent. So I'm not going to like separate completely from everyone, that's involved with him, but I definitely myself will. So.
Well, yeah, and I don't expect you not to give Kent Hovind the benefit of the doubt. Do your diligent research, come to your own conclusions. Don't take my word for it. Hopefully my questions, because I don't want people to think that I'm being unbiased. I think in the past, I was unfair. I have been very unfair to Christians, right? Like I've allowed my own biases, bigotries against the faith, to come out, and for me, a person that fights against bigotries, to express it openly, my own, there's a hypocrisy there, and I'm really trying hard to work on that.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't want to appear like I'm doing this to be a bottom feeder or nothing. No, I'm not interested in creationism. I've always been more interested in Kent Hovind's real life behavior, his real life beliefs, than opposed to one final question. And this is like more of a common sense question because I'm not saying it's not possible. There's really smart people out there like Leo. I imagine Leo Phileas probably reads 23 out of 24 hours a day. Like that dude like just knows shit, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying it's possible, but like when a Christian spends so much of their time invested in debunking science to prove creationism for some reason, instead of like reading their Bible and being sound with their theology, don't you think that lens I don't know if I can actually trust this person to be a real Christian if he's more worried about spending all of this time creating thousands upon thousands of slides to debunk evolution, and yet Schuyler fiction can walk circles around him when it comes to morality in the Bible. Like to me that would be like a huge red flag for somebody like Kent Hovind.
Right, I would probably disagree with you. I can see your point, though. I can see where you're coming from, but I would say because there's certain threats that are facing Christianity right now. One of them is like a naturalistic reality. Evolution's a big part of that. So it's something that is a threat to our religion. Or I hate using the word religion because it's like so.
I gotta give Breatt credit for making a good point because I usually don't hear too many good points from.
My name is Breatt Connor from GourdTVRordio.
So let's say that Kent Hovind wins every single debate he's ever had. I know you said that you think that that's a thing. It's not. He hasn't, but I know you think that it is. Let's say he has, right? Let's say that Kent Hovind and SFT and all these creationists, they just own atheists 100% of the time. Do you think that that's going to influence all the scientists that have spent their lives dedicated to the science?
Yeah, the shadow is there. I'm sorry, Basement.
Kent Hovind really owned that atheist. So fuck evolution, right? Like, no, it's not going to do nothing, right?
No, because everyone has their biases. I think that even you would agree with that. So what we're really doing is solidifying those already in the faith that are weak. So there are weak Christians out there that wonder, oh, is this evolution stuff true? Could there be a
I
God?
second that
So
praise.
it's
Yeah.
really for
It's
them. It's
really,
not
really,
even for those
we need
scientists
support.
that are, really ingrained into like this naturalistic understanding. So there's a lot at stake here, even for weak believers out there. That's how I would answer it.
All right. Well, yeah, and that's all I got for you, man. I truly appreciate it. Like I said, I enjoy, like kind of the.
Okay, I guess that wraps it up. Now I'm just gonna now as far as outlying homosexuality is concerned, and knowing that I the uh, referenced the eternal nomos within. Let me just share to you guys a precept that my elder shared to me, and it really has very, very compelling evidence. And this came from someone who wasn't looking to point fingers. He really knew these statistics. I guess the name of the guy is, we'll just get to that once we're done here. So, monogamy versus promiscuity, sexual partners outside of the relationship. Lest anyone suffer the illusion that any equivalency between. I've already read this. It's in another video. I think it's got a copyright strike or something, but I'm just going to read it here. So, lest anyone suffer. Yeah, because I was talking with some friends there, and I don't know if that would disrupt you from getting towards the point of staying focused. I'm just going to read this here. So, monogamy versus promiscuity, sexual partners outside of the relationship. Lest anyone suffer the illusion that any equivalency between the sexual practices of homosexual relationships and traditional marriage exists. The statistics regarding sexual fidelity within marriage are revealing in married couples. A national representative survey of 884 men and 1,088 women published in the Journal of Sex Research found that 77% of married men and 88% of married women had remained faithful to their marriage vows. A 1997 national survey appearing in those Social Organization of Sexuality, Sexual Practices in the United States found that 75% of husbands and 85% of wives never had sexual relations outside of marriage. A telephone survey conducted for Parade magazine of 1,049 adults selected to represent the demographic characteristic of the United States found that 81% of married men and 85% of married women reported that they had never violated their marriage vows. Male homosexuals. Research indicates that the average male homosexual has hundreds of sex partners in his lifetime. The Dutch study of partnered homosexuals, which was published in the journal AIDS, found that men with a steady partner had an average of 8 sexual partners per year. Bell and Weinberg, in their classic study of male and female homosexuality, found that 43% of white male homosexuals had sex with 500 or more partners, with 28% having 1,000 or more sex partners. In their study of the sexual profiles of 2,583 older homosexuals published in the Journal of Sex Research, Paul van de Ven et al. Found that the modal range for number of sexual partners ever of homosexuals was 101 to 500. In addition, 10.2% to 15.7% had between 501 and 1,000 partners. A further 10.2% to 15.7% reported having had more than 1,000 lifetime sexual partners. A survey conducted by the homosexual magazine Genre found that 24% of the respondents said that they had more than 100 sexual partners in their lifetime. The magazine noted that the several respondents suggested including a category of those who had more than 1,000 sexual partners. Commitment in male homosexual couples. Even in those homosexual relationships in which the partners consider themselves to be in a committed relationship, the meaning of committed or monogamous typically means something radically different than in heterosexual marriage. A Canadian study of homosexual men who had been in committed relationships lasting longer than 1 year found that only 25% of those interviewed reported being monogamous. According to study author Barry Adam, Gay culture allows men to explore different forms of relationships besides the monogamy coveted by heterosexuals. Handbook of Family Diversity reported a study in which many self-described monogamous couples reported an average of 3 to 5 partners in the past year. Blasman and Peplau observed a similar pattern. In the male couple, authors David P. McWhirter and Andrew M. Madison reported that in a study of 156 males in homosexual relationships lasting from 1 to 37 years, only 7 couples have a totally exclusive sexual relationship, and these men all have been together for less than 5 years. Stated another way, all couples with a relationship lasting more than 5 years have incorporated some provision for outside sexual activity in their relationships. As the following chart shows, the extremely low rate of sexual fidelity among homosexual men dramatically contrasts with the higher rate of fidelity among married heterosexuals. Let's go to a particular one because this pretty much takes the cake. Number of children. Let's take a look at this too. Claims regarding the number of children being raised in homosexual and lesbian households vary widely and are often unsubstantiated. According to a study on homosexual parenting in the American Sociological Review, researchers have given figures of uncertain origin depicting a range of 6 to 14 million children of gay or lesbian parents in the United States. According to the study's authors, Judith Stacy and Timothy J. Biblars, the higher estimates are based upon classifying as a lesbian, gay, sick parent anyone who reports that even the idea of homoerotic sex is appealing. Instead, the authors favor a figure of about 1 million, which derives from the narrower definition of a lesbian gay parent as one who self-identifies as such. However, even the lower figure of 1 million children being raised in a gay and lesbian households do not stand up to statistical analysis. The U.S. Census Bureau reports that there are 594,391 same-sex unmarried partner households in the United States, 301,226 male homosexual households, and 293,365 lesbian households. This indicates that only 1% of the total of 59,969,000 households contain same-sex partners. Assuming the Stacy Biblars estimate that 1 million children have a sexual or lesbian parent, this would mean that on average, every homosexual household has at least one child. However, the 2000 census figures show that only 33% or 96,810 of female same-sex households and 22% or 66,225 of male same-sex households have their own children living with them. These 163,035 same-sex couples, or 326,070 individuals, comprise only 8% of the estimated homosexual and lesbian population. Put another way, 92% of the estimated adult population of homosexuals and lesbians in the U.S. do not live with children. By comparison, the 2000 census showed that 46% of married couple households have at least one child living in the household. However, this figure underestimates the total number of married couples who have children, as many older couples have grown children who are no longer living at home. Stacy Bilbar's estimates may include children being raised by single homosexuals, some of whom are raising their own biological children conceived in a previous heterosexual relationship. Nevertheless, these calculations indicate how absurdly inflated most of the estimates are concerning the number of children being raised by homosexuals. Far from being the proven success that some claim, homosexual parenting remains very much the exception rather than the rule. Implications for homosexual parenting. Gay activists attempt to minimize the differences between homosexual and heterosexual households in order to make homosexuality look as normal as possible. However, as already shown, only a small minority of gay and lesbian households have children. Beyond that, the evidence also indicates that comparatively few homosexuals choose to establish households together, the type of setting that is normally a prerequisite for the rearing of the child. There's many more, but I just want to get to this one, health risks. Even those homosexual relationships that are loosely termed monogamous do not necessarily result in healthier behavior. The evidence indicates that homosexual and lesbian relationships are at far greater risk for contracting life-threatening disease compared with married couples. The journal Age reported that men involved in relationships engage in anal intercourse and oral anal intercourse with great frequency than did those with a steady partner. Anal intercourse has been linked with a host of sexually transmitted diseases, including AIDS. Exclusivity of the relationship did not diminish the incidence of unhealthy sexual acts, which are commonplace among homosexuals. An English study published in the same issue of AIDS concurred, finding that most unsafe sex acts among homosexuals occur in steady relationships. A study of steady and casual male homosexual relationships in Amsterdam found that steady partners contribute to HIV incidence more than casual partners. This can mainly be explained by the fact that risky behavior with steady partners is much greater than that with casual partners. 30 versus 1.5 unprotected anal intercourse acts annually. These findings confirm an earlier study by the Dutch Department of Health and Environment, which found that 67% of HIV positive men aged 30 and younger had been infected by a steady partner. The study concluded in recent years, young gay men have become more likely to contract HIV from a steady sexual partner than from a casual one. Exclusive lesbian relationships also at risk. The assumption that lesbians involved in exclusive sexual relationships are at reduced risk for sexual disease is false. The journal Sexual Transmitted Infections concludes the risk behavior profile of exclusive WSW, women who have sex with women, was similar to all WSW. One reason for this is because lesbians were significantly more likely to report past sexual contact with a homosexual or bisexual man and sexual contact with an intravenous drug user. And greater risk for suicide. Homosexual and lesbian relationships experience a far greater rate of mental health problems compared to married couples. A twin study that examined the relationship between homosexuality and suicide, published in the archives of Journal of Psychiatry, found that homosexuals with same-sex partners were at greater risk for overall mental health problems and were 6.5 times more likely than their twins to have attempted suicide. The higher rate was not attributable to mental health or substance abuse disorders. Intimate partner violence, lesbian and homosexual relationships. Research indicates very high levels of violence in homosexual and lesbian relationships. A study in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence examined conflict and violence in lesbian relationships. The teachers found that 90% of the lesbians surveyed had been recipients of one or more acts of verbal aggression from their intimate partners during the year prior to this study, with 31% reporting one or more incidents of physical abuse. In a survey of 1,099 lesbians, the Journal of Social Service Research found that slightly more than half of the lesbians reported that they had been abused by a female lover/partner. The researchers found that most frequently indicated forms of abuse were verbal, emotional, psychological abuse, and combined physical psychological abuse. Study of lesbian couples reported in the Handbook of Family Development and Intervention indicates that 54% had experienced 10 or more abusive incidents. 74% had experienced 6 or more incidents. 60% reported a pattern to the abuse, and 71% said it grew worse over time. In their book, Men Who Beat the Men Who Love Them, Battered Gay Men and Domestic Violence, Ireland and Letelier postulate that the incidence of domestic violence among gay men is nearly double that in the heterosexual population. Gay and lesbian versus other opposite sex intimate partner relationships. Surveys conducted by but the U.S. Department of Justice confirmed that homosexual and lesbian relationships had a far greater incidence of domestic partner violence than opposite-sex relationships, including cohabitation or marriage. The National Violence Against Women Survey, sponsored by the National Institution of Justice, found that same-sex cohabitants reported significantly more intimate partner violence than did opposite-sex cohabitants. 39% of the same-sex cohabitants reported being raped, physically assaulted, and or stalked by a marital or cohabitating partner at some time in their lifetimes, compared to 21.7% of the opposite-sex cohabitants. Among them, the comparable figures are 23.1% and 7.4%. So I've said enough. I don't think that you let the ritzy dinner parties and how the gay agenda is being pushed in the media. Now, to outlaw that, it would be a very, what I would call a straightforward but rash thing to do. So the best that you could hope for is to have them have a change of heart. Convince them, not necessarily drag them along to have them follow the rules. Okay, legalism is for tyrants. So I guess that concludes everything for now. And this is Breatt from the Pordcast. And keep safe for everybody. And may Gourd chorus you because he had to. And I hope he does the same thing you do today sometime to me. Anyway, that's Breatt Keaton. But I'm going to tell you this one. Don't take your salvation for granted and take your sanctification seriously. Thank you, Basement, for being here, for being an hour-long recipient. I appreciate you coming here. And if you guys watch this to the Vive and make it to the end, I hope you find this also useful and my commentaries in it. I hope it entertained you. And yeah, hetero pride, exactly. I'm going to skedaddle now. This is St. Ronan signing out. Peace of Christ to you guys in 3, 2, 1.